Alright guys, we've got a jam-packed MLB slate today and I'm diving deep into every single matchup. Pitching splits, bullpen edges, analytics, player props, home run shots, total bases, strikeouts, betting angles, and same-game parlay legs that you can actually build tickets around. We're not just throwing out picks here, we're breaking down the numbers so you know exactly where the value is hiding. And I've got some spicy best bets lined up across the board that you don't want to miss. The wind is blowing through Wrigley and this one smells like late season chess. The St. Louis Cardinals send Miles Mikolas to the bump while the Cubs counter with Michael McGreevy as the official probables show, and that matchup alone dictates a plan focused on matchup props, starter Ks, bullpen leverage, and first five looks instead of value-killing run-line heroics. Mikolas is a veteran who lives on contact management more than pure swing and miss. His 4.76 ERA and 1.33 WHIP this season tell you he'll give up contact but limits free passes when he's pitching to strengths, which means the Cubs need loud counts and extra base damage to break through early. McGreevy, listed as Chicago's probable on the official site, has the ability to go deeper than most Cubs back-end guys when his command is there. But he's also shown times of uneven results that invite the Cardinals to attack when he misses his spots. Treat the starting pitcher matchup as the spine of the game. If Mikolas is on, the tempo favors under first five strategies. If McGreevy cruises, the Cubs' bullpen depth makes a late push more plausible. Bullpen texture is the real leverage point and where bankrolls are made or lost in these nights. The Cubs have leaned on a deeper, more efficient relief core over the back half of the year, posting better bullpen ERA and WHIP numbers that translate to fewer inherited runner disasters and higher save conversion confidence. That gives Chicago an edge in high-leverage innings if the game is tied heading to the late frames. St. Louis's pen is competent but thinner. Capable arms exist, but overuse in matchups can expose them, especially at Wrigley when contact turns into runs quickly. If Mikolas exits early, the Cardinals will be relying on middle relief that's been inconsistent at times. If McGreevy can eat six, the Cubs' pen can lock it down. Monitor usage alerts, bullpen temperature and who's available. Those whispers will flip value faster than any preseason model. The analytics say target high probability, low juice plays, starter K lines, top order over 0.5 hits, and total bases on hitters who excel against the handedness and pitch mix on tap. Look at players like Michael Busch. He's carried power for the Cubs 30-plus hour on the year, and is a legitimate long ball threat against a veteran who mistakes up in the zone. His pull power profile makes him a candidate for TB overs and a small HR ticket. On the Cardinals' side, Alec Burleson and Wilson Contreras, when facing opposite-handed stuff, show contact and extra base ability that make them ideal for single-unit TB or hit overs in the first five, when the starters are still establishing feel. The real arbitrage comes when books misprice a starter's K-line relative to first five totals. If Mikolas' K number is low and you see swing and miss potential, buy the K prop and pair it with a first five under for a correlated hedge. Park and platoon factors are subtle but important. Wrigley's left-right wind, afternoon game timing, and how each team stacks lefties in the order will move in-game totals more than you'd think. Historically, these matchups have tilted toward lower combined run totals when veteran contact starters like Mikolas are on the bump, especially in daytime Wrigley settings. Where wind can suppress the long ball early. Use StatCast hard contact and barrel rates for each team's handed hitters versus Mikolas, McGreevy to size your TB plays. Favor small, repeatable units on top order hitters and only sprinkle long shot homers unless the book gives plus EV lines. The market has the total around the mid-sevens in multiple shops, which tracks a pitcher first game, so the conservative edge rests with under first five under strategies while the higher upside comes from correlated SGPs that tie starter K performance to a team total and a top order hit over. Concrete ticket construction and unit sizing. Primary single, under 7.5 medium, as the clean low variance play. Secondary single, Cubs moneyline small medium, because of bullpen depth and Wrigley home edge if McGreevy lasts into the sixth. Prop slate, small units unless otherwise noted. Michael Busch over 0.5 hits per terabyte over, small. Top order Cubs over 1.5 total bases, if line generous, small. Alec Burleson over 0.5 hits, small. Michaelis under 4.5 kiloseconds, contrarian small unit play if you expect contact over whiffs, and Cubs starter over Ks only if the K line is beatable. For parlay legs and SGPs, a safe 2-leg is under 7.5 plus Cubs ML. Balanced 3-leg to juice payout without exploding variance is Cubs ML plus under 7.5 plus Busch over 0.5 hits. Aggressive 4-leg tiny unit only, could add starter Ks over plus top order TB over but don't stack two volatile long shots together. First 5 pivot. First 5 under plus starter K5 over is a lower variance dagger if you want an early hedge. Market tells and in-game pivots that separate winners from gamblers. If Michaelis K prop shortens pre-lock, that's sharp money on contact suppression and you should pivot by buying correlated hit per terabyte props rather than bloating ML exposure. If McGreevy's earned run line inflates or first inning pitch counts spike, trim ML and pivot to first 5 hedges and small TB plays that profit from bullpen mismatch. Watch placement of sharp tickets. Books moving the total down quickly usually means under is getting respect from syndicates and you should reduce parlay legs that require high run output. Also monitor weather, Wrigley wind, and lineup confirmations. Late scratches on either side will reprice player props faster than the ML, so set alerts and lock props early if lines are attractive. Final props in my playbook clear. Prioritized picks with suggested unit sizing relative to a standard 1U base, top play. Under 7.5, 1.5U, side play. Cubs ML, 0.75U, props. Michael Busch over 0.5 hits, 0.75U, Cubs starter over Ks, 0.5U, if K line looks beatable. Alec Burleson over 0.5 hits, 0.5U, Michaelis under 4.5 kiloseconds, 0.25U contrarian, and a tiny long shot Cardinals hour, 0.25U, for upside. SGP, parlay ideas to post. Conservative 2-leg under 7.5 plus Cubs ML. Balanced 3-leg Cubs ML plus under 7.5 plus Busch over 0.5 hits. And a small unit 4-leg Cubs ML plus under 7.5 plus starter Ks over plus top order TB over only if all props are priced aggressively. Keep units disciplined. Check line flow at lock, and if any late scratches or bullpen availability warnings surface, reprice immediately and treat the first 2 innings as your real-time market research window because that will determine whether you double down or hedge into first 5 outcomes. Washington will hand the ball to Cade Cavalli, 3-1, approximately 4.23 ERA, while Chicago counters with Yoendrys Gomez, per series previews. Both arms have had mixed results. Cavalli shows flashes of upside but struggles with consistency. Gomez has had issues with command and letting the long ball get away. That sets up a matchup where punchouts and bullpen depth will likely overshadow starter stamina. Cavalli's peripherals hint at upside. His K9 is respectable, and he limits walks better than many Nationals starters this year. But his innings ceiling is modest. Gomez, meanwhile, allows too many hard contacts in certain zones, and given the White Sox offense's volatility, a mistake pitch can get punished. Because of that, the first 5 innings become a prime battleground. Expect betting markets to favor first 5 outcomes and underplays until the arms settle in. In bullpen framing, Chicago's bullpen ERA sits around 4.11, with a whip near 1.37, not elite, but serviceable in spot opportunities. The Nationals' relievers have been more volatile, especially when forced into high-leverage frames. That tilt gives Chicago a slight late-game edge if the score remains close into the 7th or 8th, especially since their relievers are more accustomed to stopping damage in tight spots. The caveat: if Cavalli leaves early and Washington's bullpen is taxed, that advantage could swing. Offensively, prop value lives in hitter totals and extra base lines rather than expecting big run output. For Chicago, Guys like Michael Kopech, if in lineup, Luis Robert Jr., if healthy, or Jose Caballero are interesting for overs of hits or TB. For Washington, James Wood, C.J. Abrams, or infield power names could punch through weaker zones. Homer props are risky. Use them sparingly as chase flyers if the line is generous. Instead, focus on hitters who reach base consistently and exploit pitcher weakness. Market context suggests modest confidence in Chicago. Previews list the Sox as slight favorites in Game 2 with a total likely somewhere in the mid-sevens. That pricing implies books expect a controlled scoring environment. The best angles will come from correlated props, e.g. starter K overs plus a hitter's over, rather than betting wide ML gaps. First 5 betting is especially relevant here. If markets post a tight first 5 under or side, that may be your conservative pivot when starter lines are difficult to trust. Betting records show that when teams have a significant starter advantage, first 5 bets can carry lower juice and more value. My lean under 7.5 is my core play. The matchups, combined with bullpen volatility, suggest both sides will struggle for consistent offense. My side bet moderate unit as White Sox moneyline, because Gomez's command issues may not be enough to override Chicago's bullpen and home context advantage. Prop picks units relative to base Kopech over 0.5 hits small Luis Robert Jr. Over total bases small Wood over hits small Cavalli over 5.5 kiloseconds small medium if line allows Gomez under 4.5 kiloseconds contrarian small unit and top order Washington over 1.5 total bases tiny. Parlay SGP structure. Conservative 2-leg is White Sox ML plus under 7.5. Balanced 3-leg. White Sox ML plus under 7.5 plus Cavalli over Ks. Higher upside 4-leg, very small unit, White Sox ML plus under 7.5 plus Cavalli over Ks plus Kopech over hit. Stick to 1 volatile leg max. First 5 hedge. First 5 under plus Cavalli K5 over. Lean that early if starter momentum shows. Live pivots. If Cavalli's K line shortens dramatically pre-lock, that's sharp money. Lean heavier into correlated hitter props and cut ML exposure. If Gomez's earned run line inflates or early pitch counts are elevated, walk away from full game Sox exposure and shift toward first 5 hedges. Keep an eye on bullpen warm-ups, backends availability, scratches, and lineup news. Those will reprice prop odds faster than ML. The Citizens Bank Park matchup shapes up as a textbook data fight. The Twins send Joe Ryan to the hill while the Phillies are slated to hand the ball to Taijuan Walker, and that pairing alone forces us to build tickets around starter durability, K rates, bullpen leverage and high probability props rather than blind run line heroics. Joe Ryan comes in with a stellar season profile, high innings, consistent K totals, a SUB 3.50 era and the kind of ground ball, contact profile that keeps base runners manufacturable but limits the big inning. He's the workhorse who eats pitches and forces lineups to earn runs the long way. Taijuan Walker's season has been bumpier. More homer susceptibility and a higher era, but he's still a veteran with clear platoon splits and a fastball, slider mix that can miss bats when he's on. That contrast, Ryan's steady induction of outs versus Walker's volatility, creates 2 separate bet trees. Trust the Twins to limit long innings and target starter K and first 5 under plays, or pressure Walker heavy counts and exploit Philly's top order prop lines when his elevated hard contact shows up in the zone. The bullpen axis is the key profit lever tonight. Philadelphia's relief core this year has been middling in aggregate, a bullpen era north of league average and elevated whip, meaning when their starters bail early the margin for error increases. Minnesota's pen also ranks in the lower tier by era and whip, so this game is less about one team owning late frames and more about which manager is forced into mismatches first. Practically, that makes the first 5 market and starter-focused props far more efficient bets than full-game run lines. If Ryan can punch 6 and keep pitch counts reasonable, Twins win expectancy climbs significantly because the Phillies will be forced to navigate a tired pen. Conversely, if Walker outduels his peripherals and forces Minnesota into the bullpen early, the edge flips because the Twins' relievers have been more prone to inherited run disasters this month. Size your full game exposure only once you see each starter's early pitch counts and the first inning look. Pre-lock, favor correlated prop structures. Digging into the matchup analytics. Joe Ryan's K9 and BB rates push the projection models to favor long sequence at bats for opponents rather than quick, solo homers. His expected run models XERA XWOBA context show a pitcher who suppresses barrels relative to league mean, so lineups that succeed will need sustained plate discipline and multi-hit sequences. Walker's profile on the other hand shows elevated barrel HR rates and lower chase suppression. His XERA nudges above his ERA in several metrics, which indicates he's been lucky in some runs allowed outcomes and remains vulnerable to hard contact in hitters' counts. Use StatCast hard hit and barrel splits versus handedness. Target Phillies lefty dominant bats against Ryan's sequencing and target Twins righty power when Walker leaves meatballs up in the zone. That's where TB, total bases, lines and multi-hit overs hide value. Books sometimes underprice these micro edges because they're focused on full game lines. Specific player level angles that show consistent plus EV historically in these matchups. Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber are primary Phillies bats to target in extra base bets when Walker leaves the plate up. Harper's isolated power and Schwarber's pull tendency correlate strongly with Walker's tendency to allow elevated flyball damage on mistakes. For Minnesota, Byron Buxton and Royce Lewis provide the bulk of long ball upside against Walker's elevated zone exposure. Buxton's HR/BB profile makes him a classic long shot HR ticket in higher OU games, while Lewis' contact to power sweet spot makes him attractive on TB overs. For K-based plays, if Ryan's K line is posted conservative, e.g., 5.5-6.5, the Ryan over K prop becomes attractive. Models project him for higher Ks per 9 than league average, especially in hitters' counts where he induces weak contact. Conversely, Walker's K totals are more volatile and his walks BB splits open a potential under 2.5. Walks edge if his command is sharp that day. Size these props as part of correlated SGPs rather than one-off parlays. Market context and live money tells. Books are pricing this as a competitive game with moderate juice on the favorite and totals in the mid-7s to low 8s depending on shop. Action on first 5 under and starter K overs is common here because both starters can suppress scoring early. Watch pre-lock K line movement and total adjustments closely. If Ryan's K prop shortens quickly, sharps are telling you they expect a high with outing and you should pivot into correlated TB, hit props rather than bloating ML exposure. If Walker's earned run or HR lines inflate late, that's a signal books anticipate Phillies damage and you should bias toward Philly top order overs and two-leg SGPs that include Philly ML plus TB overs. Also monitor bullpen availability whispers. If either side's key setup arm is unavailable, that swings late inning edge dramatically and should reprice your parlay legs immediately. Ticket construction, unit sizing relative to a 1U base with quantitative rationale. Primary low variance play. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.25U, because both starters suppress early scoring and bullpen volatility suggests run manufacture will be later. Statistical models show first 5 unders win at a higher frequency than full game unders in comparable starter matchups. Secondary moderate play. Twins moneyline 0.75U, contingent on Ryan clearing 4 to 5 innings in pregame checks. The Twins' run expectancy with Ryan past the 5th jumps materially per WPA simulations. Value prop cluster, small units, Joe Ryan over 6.5 kiloseconds, 0.6U projected K, 9 and swinging strike trends favor the over if line is less than or equal to 7.0. Bryce Harper over 0.5 hits, 0.6U. Historically Harper's in-zone contact and walk rates make the single hit line a high Poisson probability. Kyle Schwarber TB over 0.4U, when his TB line is favorable. Byron Buxton hour 0.25U, as a small, high upside flyer. Contrarian small play. Taiwan Walker under 4.5 kiloseconds, 0.25 U if books overprice his K floor. These sizes balance downside variance while giving meaningful exposure to the edges backed by data models. SGP, parlay leg construction with correlation logic. Conservative 2-leg, 0.8 U equals first 5 under plus Joe Ryan over K's, ties starter dominance to tempo, balanced 3-leg, 0.5 U equals Twins ML plus first 5 under plus Harper over hit, outcome plus tempo plus top order high probability hit, high upside small unit 4-leg, 0.15 U equals Twins ML plus Ryan over K's plus Buxton hour plus Schwarber TB over, only use tiny units because 2 volatile legs are included. Always prefer correlated legs, starter performance right pointing arrow tempo right pointing arrow top order hits, rather than independent long shots. Correlation reduces variance because the same underlying event drives multiple legs. Hedge rules. If Ryan is yanked before 4.0 innings or early pitch count spikes, immediately flip ML exposure to a first 5 hedge and trim any TB legs tied to late innings. If Walker finishes 5 with under 2 consider selling down the Philly ML into a props-only play because the Twins' win expectancy deteriorates rapidly when Walker is effective into the 6th. Final props and recommended final picks with unit totals straight, correlated and parlay suggestions listed succinctly. Top single, 1.25 U, first 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0. Side single, 0.75 U. Twins ML conditional on Ryan showing normal pregame pitch health. Props. Joe Ryan over 6.5 kiloseconds, 0.6 U. Bryce Harper over 0.5 hits, 0.6 U. Kyle Schwarber total bases over, 0.4 U. Byron Buxton home run, 0.25 U. Taiwan Walker under 4.5 kiloseconds, 0.25 U. Contrarian. Parlay SGP. Conservative 2-leg, 0.8 U equals first 5 under plus Ryan over K's. Balanced 3-leg, 0.5 U equals Twins ML plus first 5 under plus Harper over. Small unit 4-leg. 0.15 U equals Twins ML plus Ryan over K's plus Buxton hour plus Schwarber TB. Execute these with tight pre-lock checks on pitch counts, scratches, bullpen availability and the first inning look. Adjust unit sizing downward if any pregame hand reports show elevated risk. Cash management and strict hedging rules. Trim ML when starters fail early and pivot to first 5 or prop-only recapture. Will keep variance manageable and let these statistically backed edges play out in your favor. Let's roll into Yankees vs Orioles Game 4 with the kind of statistical pulse and betting logic that separates weak tickets from sharp edges. According to official noise, the Orioles send Trevor Rogers, 9-2, 1.35 ERA, to the mound, while New York's starter is still to be named. The MLB preview lists the Yankee side as TBD. With Rogers locked in, we start from his elite metrics. He's limiting hard contact, issuing few walks, BB rates are ultra low, and has allowed just 3 home runs all season. That gives Baltimore one of the best starter floors in the league tonight, but only if their bullpen holds shape, because New York's offense has multiple threats per round of at-bats. Rogers is the kind of pitcher you want exposure on early through K props and first 5 under logic. Given his 100 strikeouts over approximately 106 innings and his 0.87 whip, the K upside is real, especially when facing a Yankee side that chases out of zone counts. But as for innings, he's been pulled around the 5th in some starts. Whether he goes deep or not will decide how we scale our full game bets. On the other side, the Yankee starter TBD could be fresh, but the key is limiting long innings. The gap in certainty is what gives parlay and prop structure its real teeth tonight. Let's stress bullpen depth now. Baltimore's relief arms are average but serviceable in tight frames. Though they're not dominators, they carry the ability to suppress big innings if they enter with lead. The Yankees' bullpen, historically, has more high-end arms, late-inning weapons that can control damage even if the starter falters. That flips the edge for New York in games that drift into the 7th, 8th innings tied or closely contested. So if Rogers leaves early, the Yankees' bullpen depth becomes a razor's edge in their favor. On offense, the Yankee lineup is lethal. Aaron Judge has already gone deep this season, top HR in the league, and hits near .328 with elite slugging numbers. His presence in the order means any mistake belt-high fastball is a threat. Meanwhile, Baltimore's top threats like Gunnar Henderson and Jackson Holliday, if healthy, will aim to pounce on mistakes to Rogers. The Yankees' opening splits versus LHP and power splits versus lefties are also worth targeting. When books underprice total bases lines or extra base lines for hitters like Judge, Stanton, or Westburg, that's where you lean in. From market prices, oddsmakers project the total in the high 8s or possibly low 9s, reflecting balancing the expectation of run suppression by Rogers versus potential Yankee firepower. The ML lean is tilted to New York in most shops, but the public may overreact to Yankee offense versus a lefty. The clean edge lies in correlated props and first 5 plays where variance is compressed. Here's how I build. Top, low variance play is first 5 under 4.5. Rogers' ability to stifle early scoring plus regulatory lineup caution means under 4 or 5 is often sensible. Next, moderate play is Yankees moneyline, unit size conditional on final starter, because depth, offense, and bullpen advantage in later innings tilt slightly toward New York if no early disasters. Prop suite. Trevor Rogers over 6.5 kiloseconds if line not inflated. Aaron Judge over 1.5 total bases. Gunnar Henderson over 0.5 hits. Jackson Holliday over hits. Yankees TOP 3 over hits. And Judge home run is a small side flyer. If the book gives generous total base lines, consider Stanton, Chisholm TB overs depending on matchups versus LHP. Parlay SGP architecture. Conservative 2-leg is first 5 under plus Rogers over Ks, balanced 3-leg. Yankees ML plus first 5 under plus Judge TB over, high upside 4-leg, tiny unit, equals Yankees ML plus first 5 under plus Rogers over Ks plus Judge hour. Limit to 1 long shot leg. Hedge logic. If Rogers is yanked early, before 3 innings, or shows early elevated pitch counts, immediately shift ML exposure to first 5 hedge and trim prop legs reliant on late innings. If Judge's TB or HR prop shortens before lock, that's a sharp signal. Calibrate exposure upward on correlated props, not just ML. My final props picks and structure, assuming base unit equals 1, first 5 under 4.5, 1.25 U, Yankees ML, 0.75 U, Rogers over 6.5 kiloseconds, 0.6 U, Judge over 1.5 total bases, 0.6 U, Henderson over 0.5 hits, 0.5 U, Judge HR small, 0.25 U. Parlay. 0.5 U, Yankees ML plus first 5 under plus Judge TB over. Lock heavy on first 5 and props. Scale ML depending on final starter clarity and in-game flow. Monitor early innings to pivot or hedge as needed and let the model edges and volume discipline carry the variance. Toronto and Tampa Bay lock horns in what projects to be a classic pitcher-first duel. The Jays will roll out Shane Bieber, while the Rays counter with Adrian Hauser. That pairing alone frames the entire betting roadmap. Bieber's surface numbers show a SUB 4.00 era and a tiny whip in his limited 2025 work with Toronto, and his strikeout floor, swing and miss breaking stuff makes him a reliable anchor for starter K plays. Hauser, by contrast, has been one of Tampa Bay's steadier innings eaters with a mid 3.00 era, strong innings totals and a whip around 1.27, which puts him in the limit-free base runners bucket but not necessarily the shut you down category. Start your thinking with those two axes. Bieber equals K upside and low whip, Hauser equals length plus suppression, because how deep each goes will directly determine whether you favor first 5 hedges or full game moneyline exposure. From an analytics angle, Bieber's StatCast profile still shows swing and miss elements, high O swing and chase rates on his breaking stuff, and elite whiff per swing metrics when he's on, which pushes projection models to value his K-props heavily and boosts first 5 under logic if he's cruising. Hauser's StatCast footprint leans toward limiting barrels and keeping average exit velocities down, but he gives up more contact that can turn into loud, plate appearance-driven runs when counts go against him. Translate that. If Bieber racks 7+ Ks, you're likelier to cash an under or a first 5 under. If Hauser consistently lands sinker, slider sequences and keeps counts low, you should lean into correlated TB lineup props for Toronto rather than a pure runs play. Use the starter K market as your early bellwether. Sharp shortening on Bieber's K line is practically a green light to buy correlated J's top order hits and a first 5 under. Bullpen depth is the late-game arbitrage. Toronto's relief core has moments of elite high-leverage arms and a backend that can neutralize rallies, while Tampa Bay's pen has been steady but not dominant. Their relievers limit damage often, yet they don't generate the same strikeout density that kills rallies quickly. Practically, that means the Rays need their starter to go longer in this matchup to avoid the advantage that Toronto's pen gives the home lineup late. Conversely, if Bieber exits after 5 and the Jays' relievers are warmed up and efficient, that increases Toronto's win expectancy markedly. For bettors, that translates into a two-phase plan. Small, early units on starter K and first 5 plays, and then conditional scale-ups on full-game ML or run line if the favored starter clears the 5th with the lead. Hitter-level analytics hide value when books focus only on the ML and totals. Identify the Jays' top-order guys who take walks and punish elevated fastballs. When Hauser misses up, players like George Springer or Vladimir Guerrero Jr., if they're in the board, become great TB and RBI targets. For the Rays, Junior Caminero and Yandy Diaz's profile as high EV props against righties who live in the zone because they turn mistakes into extra bases. Target low juice, high-frequency plays. Over 0.5 hits on top-order bats, TB overs when lines are generous, and small flyers on HR props for hitters who show recent barrel rates. Correlation matters. A starter K over plus top-order hit over plus first 5 under ties the same underlying event, starter dominance, into a clean SGP that reduces random variance. Market context and sharp tells. Books are pricing this as a relatively tight duel with totals in the 7 to 8 range and lines that will move based on bullpen whispers and last-minute scratches. Market models and consensus picks have shown a historical bias to the under in recent Jays-Rays matchups given the pitchers typically deployed, and Action Network oddsmakers are flagging first 5 under and starter K overs as the more efficient plays when the two probables are as described. If you see Bieber's K line shorten pre-lock, assume sharp action and move into correlated player props rather than overloading the ML. Conversely, heavy public money on the Rays ML will often push ML juice up and open value on Jays props and first 5 under. Concrete ticket sheet, unit sizing relative to 1U base with quantitative reasoning. Primary low variance play. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.25U. Because both starters suppress early scoring and first 5 numbers historically cash more frequently in these matchups. Secondary single. Blue Jays moneyline 0.75U, conditional on Bieber clearing 5 or if his K market tightens pregame. High EV prop cluster, small units, Shane Bieber over 6.5 kiloseconds, 0.6U, models project Bieber's K, 9 to outpace the line when he's starting. Adrian Hauser under 3.5 walks, 0.4U, if his BB, 9 is showing control. Top Jays over 0.5 hits, 0.6U combined across 2 to 3 hitters. Junior Caminero hour, 0.25U, as a Tampa longshot with pop. Correlated SGPs. Conservative 2-leg equals first 5 under plus Bieber over Ks, 0.8U. Balanced 3-leg equals Blue Jays ML plus first 5 under plus top order Jays hit, 0.5U. Tiny unit 4-leg, 0.15 equals Blue Jays ML plus Bieber over Ks plus Caminero hour plus top order TB over. Only tiny stake because of multivariate volatility. Always limit to one true longshot leg per SGP. Live pivot rules, strict, actionable if Bieber's K prop shortens greater than 0.5 before lock. Scale up correlated J's hit per terabyte legs rather than the ML. If Hauser shows unusually low first inning pitch counts, fast hook expected, trim first 5 under exposure and consider a small raise first 5 target. If a late scratch removes a key top order hitter, immediately reduce TB and hit props. Books reprice those faster than ML. If the starter is pulled before 4 innings, sell down ML and flip to first 5 hedge plus individual reliever props. Risk management. Cap SGP exposure to is less than or equal to 20% of total stake and keep prop units as less than or equal to 0.75 U unless the line is demonstrably mispriced. Final picks and allocation clear. Prioritized top single. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.25 U, side play. Blue Jays ML 0.75 U, if Bieber clears 5 or his K line shortens. Props. Bieber over 6.5 kiloseconds, 0.6 U, top Jays over 0.5 hits, aggregate 0.6 U, Caminero hour, 0.25 U, Hauser under 3.5 walks, 0.4 U. Parlay suggestions. Conservative 2-leg first 5 under plus Bieber. Over Ks, 0.8 U, balanced 3-leg Blue Jays ML plus first 5 under plus top order Jays hit, 0.5 U. Lock props early. Monitor pregame line moves and bullpen availability, and be prepared to hedge into first 5 markets if either starter shows elevated pitch counts in innings 1 or 2. That discipline is how the edge compounds over time rather than chasing volatility. The matchup chart shows Jack Leiter, Texas, squaring off against Slade Cecconi, Cleveland, as the probable starters. That's the first and most important piece. 2 younger arms with upside but different risk profiles. Leiter enters with a 9-10 record and a 3.92 ERA, and about 138 strikeouts this season. Cecconi sits at 7-6, 4.15 ERA, and around 106 kiloseconds. The base narrative. Leiter has more upside and K floor. Cecconi is more hittable and prone to giving up damage if the pitch mix breaks. That variance sets your starter props and first 5 under logic as your foundational bets. MLB's probable pitchers page confirms this matchup. Looking at team bullpen stats, Cleveland's pen is a real strength this year. The Guardians' bullpen ERA is about 3.48. WHIP approximately equals 1.237, and they rank 3rd in bullpen ERA among all teams. Cleveland bullpen stats that gives them flexibility to trust late innings, particularly if Cecconi just stalls out of gas. The Rangers' pen, while not disastrous, doesn't carry the same consistency. Texas relievers give up more base runners and tougher inherited runs splits across the season. That tilt favors Cleveland in close games if the starter departs with a lead or in a tie. Digging deeper into the matchups, Leiter's K9 and swinging strike rates put Slope under many models. His breaking stuff and high chase rates make his over K line a must check. Conversely, Cecconi's barrel percent and Zera metrics suggest regression toward more allowed hard contact. His strikeout upside is lower, so the value lies in exploiting his mistakes via extra base hitters rather than chasing his K floor. Use StatCast splits versus handedness. Cleveland's lefty suppression hitters should target Leiter's edges, and Ranger righty power bats should poke at high heat against Cecconi when counts go deep. On the prop front, targets include Leiter over 7.5 kiloseconds if the line is less than or equal to 8.0. Cecconi under 4.5 kiloseconds, if the book misprices his floor. Jose Ramirez over 0.5 hits, Gunnar Henderson over 1.5 total bases, Josh Jung over hits if in lineup, and Corey Seager HR or Josh Jung TB over as small flyers depending on lineup. Also, First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0 is a strong tempo play because both pitchers start with high control and low scoring at the top of the order. From the market side, books will likely price this as a tight contest with totals in the mid-7s or low 8s, giving wiggle room on correlated prop structure. Sharp action tends to go to starter K overs or first 5 under in matchups like this, rather than heavy ML backers early. Watch early line movement. If lighter's K line shortens fast, that's sharp money, lean heavier into top order and TB plays. If the total drifts downward, that suggests under is getting respect. If it inflates, expect public innings or MTG overs. Here's how I'd size and structure. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0 is my base play with 1.5 U. Cleveland ML in a conditional moderate bet, 0.75 U, if lineup checks out and bullpen is healthy. Prop allocations. Lighter over 7.5 kiloseconds, 0.6 U, Ramirez over 0.5 hits, 0.6 U, Henderson over 1.5 terabytes, 0.5 U, Jung over hits, 0.4 U, Seager hour, 0.25 U, Flyer, Cecconi under 4.5 kiloseconds, 0.25 U. Parlay SGP builds. 2-leg safe equals first 5 under plus lighter over Ks. 3-leg equals Cleveland ML plus first 5 under plus Ramirez over hit, and small unit 4-leg equals Cleveland ML plus first 5 under plus lighter over Ks plus Henderson TB over. Only one volatile longshot leg per SGP. Live pivots. If lighter's K prop shortens steeply, shift more capital into TB hit props rather than ML. If Cecconi's earned run line inflates, favor Cleveland ML and under bets. If either starter is yanked before 4 innings, hedge quickly to first 5 outcomes and trim TB legs. Watch bullpen warm-ups and scratches. Reliever availability always flips correlated props faster than ML. This one is all about matchup edges and prop leverage. The Mets are expected to start Brandon Sproat, 0-1. 3.94 ERA, while Miami counters with Sandy Alcantara, 10-12, 5.48 ERA. Sproat is a rookie with limited sample size, lots of upside in strikeouts, but also vulnerability in the zone when he misses. Alcantara is a veteran ace in name, but his 2025 metrics show regression. His ERA is 5.48, and his peripheral metrics, ZERA, barrel rate allowed, suggest he's getting torched when hitters square him up. That gives the Mets the upside edge. If Sproat can limit damage and the Mets bullpen holds, the tilt is strong to New York. But the variance risk is real. Sproat's control and experience are wild cards. Let's zone in on bullpen texture. Miami's bullpen has been shaky. They rank about 20th in bullpen ERA, 4.29 ERA, WHIP approximately 1.325, with about 21 blown saves on the year. That means if Alcantara is pulled or falters, their relievers may not hold firm. The Mets' bullpen is better. ERA approximately 3.95, WHIP approximately 1.305, with more consistency in high-leverage innings. That difference in back-end arms is a critical lever. The Mets are more likely to be able to survive a shaky start and pull ahead late. In games like this, the team with deeper pen gets a late edge if starters exit early. Analytically, Sproat's K9 and swinging strike metrics are his calling cards, while his walk and HR rates are the risks. His StatCast profile suggests potential for swings and misses, but also contact when counts escalate. Against Marlins hitters, especially the aggressive ones, that opens value on Sproat over Ks and correlated Mets top order hit overs. For Alcantara, his ZERA likely exceeds his ERA, meaning the pitching models expect more damage than his current numbers show. That's a red flag. Hitters who do damage against him will be ones who barrel mistakes or force elevated contact, lean extra base or TB overs in those matchups. Use platoon splits and current batted ball trends to pick which hitters to back. On the hitters' side, Mets names to watch include Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, Kodai Senga, if hitting roll, Juan Soto, if in lineup, and Mark Vientos, for power upside. For Miami, Xander Bogaerts, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Jazz's extra base ability, Jesus Sanchez's long shot hours, and Jazz or Chisholm TB overs or pieces to pepper. But caution. Props should be lean, not overstacked. From the market, totals in this matchup will likely float in the mid-7s to 8s, with Mets slight ML lean depending on book. The sharper angle is not the ML but correlated prop structure. If Sproat's K line is posted aggressively and shortens pre-lock, I would pile into Sproat over K's plus Mets top order hit overs plus first 5 under as primary structure. If Alcantara's line inflates earned runs, HR allowed, that signals books expecting Mets to break through, adjust accordingly by shifting exposure toward New York hitters rather than mixed bets. Here's the ticket build: units relative to base of 1U, low variance anchor. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.25U, starters tend to suppress early scoring, and this gives you safety if the game stays tight. Side conditional. Mets ML, 0.75U, if Sproat shows control and bullpen status is clean. Props. Sproat over 5.5 kiloseconds, 0.6U, Lindor over 0.5 hits, 0.6U, Pete Alonso over total bases, 0.5U, Bogaerts over hits, 0.4U, Jazz Chisholm hour, 0.25U, Flyer, Alcantara. Under 4.5 kiloseconds, 0.25U, Contrarian. Parlay SGP. 2-leg equals first 5 under plus Sproat over K's. 3-leg balanced equals Mets ML plus first 5 under plus Lindor hit over. 4-leg small unit equals Mets ML plus first 5 under plus Sproat over K's plus Alonso TB over. Keep volatile leg count to 1 and size appropriately. Live pivots are essential. If Sproat's K prop shortens sharply, that's a sharp trigger. Increase correlated Mets hit per terabyte bets, maybe scale ML. If Alcantara's earned run or HR lines balloon, shift toward Mets offense props and lean away from mixed bets. If either starter is yanked early, before 4 innings, hedge ML into first 5 and trim TB legs. Also monitor bullpen warm-ups, scratches, and velocity reports. Those inform whether reliever arms will hold or buckle. The ballpark's electric and this one is all about matchup edges. Boston's rookie swing and miss guy Kyle Harrison gets the call for the Red Sox against Detroit's righty Kiter Montero, and that pairing dictates everything. Harrison brings a high spin, high chase profile that drives K props and first 5 under logic, while Montero is a contact management arm with a middling era who's vulnerable to barrels when his location drifts. Odds boards already show Harrison as Boston's probable and Montero for Detroit, so start your ticket tree with starter K lines and first 5 tempo plays before chasing MLs. Dig into the peripherals and the math gets cleaner. Harrison's chase and swinging strike metrics project a K9 that regularly beats market lines when he's lefty on lefty or when he's commanding his curve early. Montero's 2025 surface numbers, era in the mid-4s, whip approximately 1.40, suggest more contact and more traffic, which inflates the value of TB extra base props on premium Red Sox sluggers if Montero misses up. Use StatCast barrel rates and O-contact splits to pick which hitters to back. Batters who drive elevated fastballs, think Boston's hard pull guys, or where books occasionally misprice TB overs. Bullpen texture is the biggest late-game arbitrage. Boston's relief corps has been elite this season, elite enough to be a true advantage, with a bullpen era sitting near the top of the league and a sub-1.26 whip that shows it limits base runners and inherits cleanly. Detroit's bullpen is more hittable, closer to league average with a higher blown save rate, so the leverage environment favors Boston late if this is close entering the 7th. That flips how you size starters versus full game plays. If Harrison makes it through 5 with the lead, scale up the Sox ML. If Montero hangs in and the Sox pen shows a backdoor vulnerability, favor correlated props instead. Translate those facts into market angles. Books are likely to open this with a Boston lean and a total in the high 7s to 8s range. That's textbook when a high K starter faces a contact first one. Sharps will sniff Harrison's K line and first 5 under. Public money will chase Boston's bats in the ML. The most repeatable plus EV is correlation. Take Harrison over K's plus first 5 under as a 2-leg, or pair Harrison over with a Red Sox top order TB over. Same underlying event, starter dominance, drives both legs, and that reduces random variance more than a straight ML. Player props are where the odds bite early. Targets on the Red Sox. Hitters who punish elevated mistakes and produce extra bases. Masataka Yoshida, high contact and pull power. Trevor Story, hot streak power, and a sleeper middle order TB play if the lines are generous. On Detroit. Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson are your long ball tickets if Montero leaves a heater up. They're high variance but pop fast at Fenway when Montero's pitch mix isn't crisp. Prop strategy. Buy the high probability, low juice overs first, top order over 0.5 hits, 1+ TB, and sprinkle small units on HR shots for Green, Torkelson, and for Boston's power pieces when their HR juice is plus EV. Concrete ticket construction with unit sizing, 1U base, and statistical reasoning. Primary low variance play. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.5U, because Harrison's K profile in both lineups inning -1 tendencies point to suppressed early scoring. Secondary conditional play. Red Sox ML, 0.75U, if Harrison clears 5 with a lead or if his K line shortens pre-lock. Starter props. Kyle Harrison over 7.5 kiloseconds, 0.6U, models Project K, 9 above market when his breaking ball lands. Kiter Montero over 3.5 earned runs, 0.4U contrarian, if the book underprices his homer susceptibility at Fenway. Hitter props. Yoshida over 0.5 hits, 0.6U, Trevor Story TB over, 0.4U, Riley Green hour, 0.25U flyer. Those sizes balance edge capture with variance control. SGP, parlay ideas built on correlation rather than hope. Conservative 2-leg, first 5 under plus Harrison over K's, 0.9U, balanced 3-leg. Red Sox ML plus first 5 under plus Yoshida over hit, 0.5U, high upside tiny unit 4-leg. Red Sox ML plus Harrison over K's plus Yoshida TB over plus Green hour, 0.15U, only tiny units when including a HR leg. Rule of thumb. 1 high variance leg per SGP, otherwise you're buying lottery tickets. Pre-lock tells to watch. Harrison K line shortening is sharp money. Pivot to correlated TB, hit props. Montero HR line inflating is a signal to size Red Sox TB, RBI plays up. Bullpen warm-up whispers flip late odds faster than almost anything else. Final prop sheet prioritized, with unit totals top single. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.5U, side single. Red Sox ML, 0.75U, conditional on Harrison's through 5 health. Props cluster. Kyle Harrison over 7.5 kiloseconds, 0.6U, Masataka Yoshida over 0.5 hits, 0.6U, Trevor Story TB over, 0.4U, Kiter Montero over 3.5 ER, 0.4U, Riley Green hour, 0.25U, SGP focus. First 5 under plus Harrison over K's plus Yoshida over hit, 0.5U, as the main correlated play. Lock props early if lines are attractive. Monitor pitch counts in innings 1 and 2 for pivot signals, and trim ML exposure if Harrison shows an early spike in pitch count. That disciplined workflow is how bankrolls compound over time rather than getting blown out by late innings volatility. Tonight in Atlanta, the Braves will go with Mitch Keller, 6'15", 4.22 ERA, on the mound, while the Pirates are expected to counter with Joey Wentz, 5'6", 5.46 ERA. That's the official probable pitchers listing from the Braves roster page. Keller's season has been rough in the win column, but his peripherals, strikeouts, Innings, opponent splits show he still has value in favorable matchups. Wentz, by contrast, carries upside when his command is sharp, but is liable to get destroyed when hitters square him up. From the jump, lean heavier toward Keller's K profile and Wentz's volatility as your core decision fork. Keller's strikeout totals, 144 kiloseconds on the year, give him a usable K floor even in messy outings. His era in non-blow-up starts has held closer to his FIP, meaning when he avoids deep counts, he can limit damage. Wentz, on the other hand, has surrendered a high hard hit rate, and his whip BB metrics indicate trouble when he falls behind. That contrast pushes early money toward Keller over Ks or correlated Braves top-order hit overs, especially in the first 4 to 5 innings. For Wentz, value lies in exploiting his elevated HR, barrel splits with slugger props when he mistakes up. The bullpen picture tilts toward the Pirates in a narrow sense. Atlanta's bullpen has an ERA of approximately 4.24 and a whip around 1.264, ranking toward the lower tier among NL bullpens. Pittsburgh's bullpen is better. ERA around 3.88, whip approximately 1.26, and a moderately higher save rate with slightly fewer blown saves. That means if the game tightens in the 7th-9th, the Pirates may better preserve leads, especially if Keller is pulled early or gives up momentum. That dynamic means your late innings bets TB prop legs need to reflect bullpen quality rather than just offensive strength. When you overlay the analytics, the shape of value becomes clearer. Keller's chase and swinging strike rates push many projection models to favor his over K lines in controlled matchups. Wentz's elevated ZERA and barrel percent can betray him when he misses a pitch or two. Use batted ball splits versus handedness. Pirates hitters who are pull power versus RHP and Braves hitters who square fastballs when ahead in count are the lines to lean in. TB overs, extra base lines, etc. Don't fight the process by betting large MLBs early. The correlated prop edges are your edge. From a player prop lens, candidates include Braves top order over 0.5 hits players like Austin Riley, Marcell Ozuna if active, Keller over 6.5 kiloseconds, if books pricing it is less than or equal to 7.0 Pirates HR shots, e.g. power bats in their order against mistakes, Wentz under 4.5 kiloseconds is a contrarian in blow-up risk matchups, total bases overs for Braves hitters in innings 5 to 7, and a small Braves closer to allow no earned runs if Keller exits with lead. First 5 under is also viable given both starters' tendencies to suppress damage early under controlled counts. The marketplace sees this as a close to moderate tilt to Atlanta, total in mid-7s to 8s, with ML juice leaning Braves. Smart money in matches like this tends to flow into K overs and correlated hits prop legs rather than heavy ML bets. Pre-lock movement in Keller's K line is your sharp signal. If it shortens, lean deeper into correlated Braves props. If Wentz's HR/ER lines inflate late, adjust exposure to Braves offense rather than gamble on a stabilized Pirates side. Here's how I'd size and structure. Core low variance play. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.5 U, side conditional play. Braves ML 0.75 U, if Keller posts health and strikeout control. Prop slate. Keller over 6.5 kiloseconds, 0.6 U, Braves top order over 0.5 hits, 0.6 U, Braves TB over, 0.5 U. If line generous Pirates HR flyer, 0.25 U, Wentz under 4.5 kiloseconds, 0.25 U. Parlay SGP layout. Safe 2-leg equals first 5 under plus Keller over Ks. Balanced 3-leg equals Braves ML plus first 5 under plus top order hit over. Tiny unit 4-leg equals Braves ML plus Keller over Ks plus top order TB plus Pirates hour, only one volatile leg. Hedge logic. If Keller is yanked less than 4 innings, flip ML exposure to first 5 hedge and scale TB legs down. Lock props early if lines are legit, monitor pitch counts and bullpen readiness, and adjust dynamically. The matchup at American Family Field stacks Quinn Priester, 13-2, 3.25 ERA, 128 kiloseconds, 152.1 IP, against Zach Little, 10-8, 3.86 ERA, 127 kiloseconds, 182.0 IP, and right away the numbers force a process. Priester is the higher ceiling K-arm with the better ERA profile this year. Little is the steady innings eater who induces more contact. That dichotomy sets up a classic starter K plus first 5 tempo tree versus contact extra base exploitation when Little misses location. Priester's season surface K totals, sub -1.22 whip territory most of the year pushes projection models to favor his over Ks. Lines and to price the first 5 innings is lower variance for unders. Little's longer outing profile makes him the kind of starter who keeps you in the game but also hands you solo 2-run risk if he misses up in the zone. Bullpen texture is the late inning arbitrage. Milwaukee's relievers have been more reliable across the board this season, fewer blown saves, better high leverage conversion, and that becomes tangible value if Priester exits with a lead, because the Brewers can turn to trustworthy arms and shrink the comeback window. Cincinnati's pen has been serviceable but shows volatility in inherited runner situations and high leverage frames. That volatility is why early hedges and first 5 plays are attractive. If Little is yanked early, the Reds may struggle to bridge late with consistent shutdowns. So the decision ladder is: buy starter control Priester Ks plus first 5 under early, and only scale full game ML once a starter clears 5 with manageable pitch counts and bullpen availability checked. Digging into the matchup analytics, Priester's swinging strike and chase metrics give him a repeatable K floor, meaning model projections that use SWSTR% and O swing show him beating market K lines more often than not. Little shows lower swinging strike but superior ability to induce weak contact. His FIP versus ERA and GB/FB ratios suggest many of his starts are 1 or 2 runs only games rather than blowouts. Use StatCast barrel and hard hit splits by handedness. The Reds' lefty-righty balance and Ellie De La Cruz's elite exit velocity ceiling make De La Cruz a TBHR candidate when Little leaves a pitch belt high. For Milwaukee, Christian Yelich and Willie Adams, or whoever is penciled into the heart, are the TB extra base targets when Priester misses over the plate. The pure arithmetic: priority on high probability, low juice over 0.5 hits for top order bats, starter K overs when SWSTR signals a miss, and TB overs when the opponent's contact profile projects above cohort medians. Market dynamics and live tells are crucial. Books show the Brewers as favorites and the consensus total in the mid-7s, that aligns with a Priester-favored environment. If you see Priester's K prop shorten pre-lock, treat that as sharp money and shift exposure into correlated Brewers hit per terabyte props rather than bloating an ML ticket. If Little's ERA HR lines inflate, that's your signal to upsize Reds' top-order TB and small HR flyers. Watch first inning pitch counts closely. A Priester first inning with low strike share or an elevated pitch count is a red flag to shrink over K's exposure and instead pivot to first 5 or TB plays. Cross-book line checks are mandatory. A 0.5-1.0 change on a K line or total is an actionable swing for sizing. Practical ticket construction: units scaled to a 1U base with statistical rationale. Primary low variance anchor. First 5 under 3.5-4.0, 1.5U, because Priester's K profile and Little's contact suppression make early frames less likely to explode. Secondary conditional. Brewers ML, 0.75U, but only if Priester clears 5 with a pitch count under approximately 85 and the Brewers' high leverage arms are available. The bullpen differential justifies a medium unit once those conditions hold. Props cluster: small units unless line is demonstrably mispriced. Quinn Priester over 7.5 kiloseconds, 0.6U. Priester's SWSTR and MLBK. 9 projections support this if the book posts is less than or equal to 8.0. Zach Little under 6.5 kiloseconds, 0.5U, as a contrarian hedge if books overstate his ceiling. Ellie de la Cruz over 0.5 hits, 0.6 U, high EV low juice. Christian Yelich total bases over, 0.5 U, when line is friendly. Spencer Steer RBI total bases over, 0.4 U, as a Reds middle order exploit if Priester misses. Keep HR Flyers tiny, as less than or equal to 0.25 U, their variance, not edge. SGP, parlay builds that respect correlation. Conservative 2-leg. First 5 under plus Priester over Ks, 0.9 U, ties starter dominance to tempo. Balanced 3-leg. Brewers ML plus first 5 under plus Yelich TB over, 0.5 U, connects result, tempo, and top order production. High upside tiny unit 4-leg. Brewers ML plus Priester over Ks plus de la Cruz over hit plus Steer RBI, 0.15 U, only tiny stake because of multi-leg volatility. Rule. 1 volatile leg per SGP max. Hedge rules. If Priester removed before 4 innings. Flip ML to Reds or hedge into first 5 and trim TB legs. If Priester's K line shortens pregame, favor adding scaled correlated TB hit plays rather than extra ML. Live micro angles to monitor that separate winners from gamblers. First inning zone Priester showing low strike rate early reduces K value. Bullpen warmups, a revealed high leverage reliever for Milwaukee who's not on paper as a green light to upsize ML, and O swing chase updates in first 2 innings. If Reds chase more than expected, Priester Ks become more likely. Also watch weather, park factors for late inning carry, though American Family Field is neutral, wind can amplify. Finally, manage stake sizing dynamically. Props are where you extract repeated plus EV, ML is conditional insurance, and first 5 is your hedge desk. Final prioritized picks and unit totals, do your last minute checks, top single. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.5 U, side single. Brewers ML, 0.75 U, conditional on Priester to 5+ innings with healthy pitch count. Props. Quinn Priester over 7.5 kiloseconds, 0.6 U. Ellie de la Cruz over 0.5 hits, 0.6 U. Christian Yelich total bases over, 0.5 U. Spencer Steer RBI per terabyte over, 0.4 U. And a tiny Reds HR Flyer, 0.25 U. Parlay focus. Conservative 2-leg first 5 under plus Priester over Ks, 0.9 U, and balanced 3-leg Brewers ML plus first 5 under plus Yelich TB over, 0.5 U. Lock in props early if lines are fair. Monitor pitch counts and bullpen availability up to first pitch, and be ready to hedge into first 5 tickets if starters show early trouble because that discipline is how edges compound rather than evaporate. The matchup tonight at Angel Stadium is all about contrasting pitcher profiles and roster context. The Astros are sending Jason Alexander to the hill while the Angels will counter with veteran Kyle Hendricks, and that immediately frames our ticket tree around starter Ks, early inning tempo and targeted hitter total base props rather than blind run line brawls. Alexander's surface line this year, 4-2, 4.83 ERA. Roughly 61 kiloseconds in approximately 72.2 innings, shows swing and miss upside in the right counts but also a tendency to give up contact when his command drifts. Hendricks. Season 8-10. 4.79 ERA. Approximately 106 kiloseconds in approximately 159.2 innings, as built on craft, sequencing and limiting free passes rather than blowout strikeout nights, which means the clean edges live in correlating K props and first 5 under plays depending on who's dictating counts early. Start with the numbers that matter. Alexander projects as the higher variance starter. His K9 and swinging strike profile are good enough to make a over Ks play viable if the market posts reasonable lines. Look for as less than or equal to 5.5 minus 6.5 for 5+ K props, is less than or equal to 7.58 for full game K lines depending on book. Hendricks generates fewer whiffs but gets outs via contact management and limiting walks, which pushes value to opposing hitters' extra base metrics when he leaves a pitch elevated. The statistical read here. If Alexander's fastball, slider command is on and he's getting chase early, the Mets style, starter K plus team first 5 under. Correlation will cash. If Hendricks pounds the zone and keeps pitch counts low, the safer play becomes targeting Altuve. Bregman style power lines are Yankees of old small ball, i.e., high probability single total base overs for lineup cornerstones. Always check the posted K line versus each starter's SWSTR % and O swing before locking. Bullpen context is critical and it's not pretty for Houston. The Astros pitching staff has taken multiple hits this month and that affects late-inning leverage. Recent reporting highlights turnover and injury issues that have drained depth and changed late-game dynamics, so any start where Alexander is pulled early becomes riskier for the visitors. The Angels pen has its ups and downs but benefits from home usage patterns and matchups in the high-leverage frames. When a Yankees-Angels style offense can knock a starter around late, manager decisions and availability determine value more than raw matchup models. In practice, that means scale full game MLs only after the starter clears 5 with a manageable pitch count and the bullpen warm-up list looks clean. Otherwise prefer first 5 and prop structures that limit bullpen variance. Player-level analytics carve out the best prop targets. For Houston, Jose Altuve remains a textbook high-probability hit and TB candidate against pitchers who miss up in the zone. Look for over 0.5 hits and modest TB overs when his line is soft. Alex Bregman, if active, and whoever's sitting in the middle of the Astros order are your primary RBI per terabyte candidates. For the Angels, Taylor Ward's power profile and the top-of-order contact guys create value on multi-base targets when Alexander misses location. Use StatCast metrics. Barrel rate versus specific pitch types and recent exit velocities to size TB overs. Books often underprice TB lines when a starter's recent allowed barrel rate is inflated but his aggregate era is still surviving on sequencing luck. Cross-reference these micro-metrics pre-lock and buy the TBs that line up with the starter's weakness. Alexander. Chase, slider misses. Hendricks. The occasional elevated heater. Market signals and sizing strategy. Odds makers are likely to open this as a tight market with the Angels having a modest home lean and totals that reflect offensive upside at Angel Stadium. Check several books: Odds Shark, DraftKings, FanDuel, for variation. The sharp money will typically gravitate to starter K overs or first 5 unders in this pairing, while public action chases ML and longshot hours. My practical construction, units relative to a 1U base, is primary low variance anchor. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.25U, because the starters' profiles compress early scoring probabilities. Conditional full game single. Angels moneyline, 0.75U, only if Hendricks clears 5 with sub-90 pitch count and the Astros pen shows ongoing fatigue. Starter props. Jason Alexander over 5.5 kiloseconds, 0.6U, if line is less than or equal to 6. Kyle Hendricks under 7.5 kiloseconds, 0.5U, as a contrarian play when his K line is overstated. Top order hitter plays. Altuve over 0.5 hits, 0.6U. Taylor Ward total bases over, 0.5U, when line favorable. Keep HR Flyers tiny, as less than or equal to 0.25U. Powers variance in Anaheim is real but not a repeatable edge. Same game parlay and SGP architecture that respects correlation. Conservative 2-leg. First 5 under plus Alexander over Ks, ties starter dominance to tempo. Balanced 3-leg. Angels ML plus first 5 under plus Ward TB over, outcome plus tempo plus top order TB, aggressive tiny unit 4-leg. Angels ML plus Alexander over Ks plus Altuve hit plus Ward hour only tiny stake due to multi-leg volatility. Correlation principle. Stack legs that are driven by the same underlying event. Starter control right pointing arrow, low scoring right pointing arrow, top order hits. Avoid pairing 2 separate long shots. Pre-lock tells to watch are K-line shortening, sharp money, bullpen warm-up lists, and pitch count whispers. Any of these should trigger immediate resizing or a hedge into first 5 markets. Final prioritized props and recommended allocation. Do pre-lock checks and adjust for scratches. Top single. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.25 U. Side single. Angels ML 0.75 U. Conditional on Hendricks through 5 and Astros bullpen still thin. Props. Jason Alexander over 5.5 kiloseconds, 0.6 U. Jose Altuve over 0.5 hits, 0.6 U. Taylor Ward total bases over, 0.5 U. Kyle Hendricks under 7.5 kiloseconds, 0.5 U. Contrarian, and a very small Astros HR flyer, 0.25 U. for upside. Parlay suggestion. Conservative 2-leg first 5 under plus. Alexander over Ks 0.8 U, and balanced 3-leg Angels ML plus first 5 under plus Ward TB over 0.5 U. Lock props early if lines are attractive. Monitor line movement across books and bullpen availability up to first pitch, and be ready to flip ML exposure into a first 5 hedge if either starter shows early trouble, because disciplined hedging is how you turn small edges into long-term profit. This one is a heavyweight pitching duel on paper, and every number points to a game you want to play with precision, correlation and strict sizing instead of spray and pray parlays. The Dodgers are sending veteran lefty Clayton Kershaw to the hill while the Mariners counter with George Kirby, and that matchup alone defines the two paths you can profit from tonight. Kershaw's craft and sequencing versus Kirby's high spin, strikeout first profile. One suppresses barrels and the other piles up whiffs. So your job is to buy the market edges where the same underlying event, starter dominance, drives multiple bets. Start with the pitchers and their measurable edges. Kershaw still profiles as a command-first southpaw who forces weak contact more than he racks Ks. His veteran sequencing limits big innings, and he's historically very hard to square up when he spots the glove. Kirby, in contrast, generates elite swinging strike rates and chase numbers that push his K9 above the cohort median, so projection models tend to favor Kirby overs on strikeout props, while Kershaw's value is in lowering team totals and first 5 under plays. Treat the starter K lines and first 5 market as your bellwether. If Kirby's K line is posted conservatively and then shortens pre-lock, that's a green light to buy correlated Mariners top order hit per terabyte overs, because whiffs compress overall scoring but create multi-PA contact collapse when counts favor power. Bullpen texture is the late inning lever that will either confirm or collapse your full game exposures. The Dodgers have had bullpen problems late in the month and even made a roster move activating Roki Sasaki to try and patch the relief core. That tells you the back end is noisy, and unless Kershaw goes deep, the late frames carry real variance for Dodgers backers. The Mariners' pen is solid enough to be trusted more often than not in high-leverage sequences at T-Mobile, so conditional on Kirby clearing 5 with reasonable pitch counts, you should be willing to scale full-game Mariners tickets. If Kershaw remains in command into the 6th, the Dodgers still have the veteran matchup edge, but the bullpen caveat forces you to price smaller ML units and lean props. Park and lineup interaction matter more than simple season-long averages here. T-Mobile Park suppresses some carry relative to the biggest launch sites, but these lineups feature true impact bats. The Dodgers give you Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani, both barrel-heavy, zone-dominant hitters who punish elevated mistakes, while the Mariners counter with Cal Raleigh, who's posted historic power this year, and Julio Rodriguez, whose aggressive plate approach creates both HR upside and multi-TB scenarios. When you cross-reference StatCast barrel rates and recent exit velocity splits versus LHP, RHP for these hitters, the highest EV lines show up in total bases and extra base bets for top-of-order Mariners bats versus any over-the-plate counts from Kershaw, and K total base correlated plays for Dodgers hitters when Kirby leaves a fastball elevated. Use TB overs for depth rather than one-off hours unless the price is absurdly generous. Market structure and sharp tells. Books are likely to open a tight market and the total will float based on weather and bullpen whispers. Oddsmakers and market snapshots are already treating this as a pitcher's duel with slight lean toward home field fluctuation. So the most repeatable plus EV is first 5 under and starter K overs instead of gassing a heavy ML into unknown bullpen usage. If you see Kirby's K line shorten pre-lock or the first 5 total dip, that's sharp money and you should pivot into correlated props, Kirby K over plus Mariners top order hits, rather than bloating an ML ticket that could get swamped by garbage frame variance late. Conversely, if Kershaw's ownership ML juice collapses with a stable bullpen report, value opens on Dodgers props and first 5 hedges. Cross-book checks and early tickets movement are the actionable signals. Concrete, statistically justified ticket tree units relative to a 1.0 U base, and the math behind each allocation. Primary low variance anchor. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.5 U, because both starters suppress early scoring historically and first 5 unders hit at a higher frequency in starter-dominated matchups. The model-backed frequency difference is often 5-8% higher for starter duels like this versus generic games, which justifies sizing above a single unit. Secondary conditional play. Mariners ML, 0.75 U, but only if Kirby clears 5 with pitch count less than 90 and bullpen warm-ups show no critical arm outages. The conditionality is crucial because Mariners win expectancy jumps sharply once Kirby passes the 5th. Contrarian full game alternative. Dodgers ML, 0.5 U, as a smaller exposure if Kershaw looks vintage through 2 and Dodgers relievers show useful arms warming. Treat this as hedge insurance rather than primary. Prop cluster, small units unless the line shows clear mispricing, driven by StatCast and recent splits. George Kirby over 7.5 kiloseconds, 0.65 U. His swinging strike and chase metrics support routine 7 to 9K outings when he's on. Buy if line is less than or equal to 8. Clayton Kershaw under 7.5 kiloseconds, 0.4 U. As a contrarian when his K lines are jammed up, he gets outs via contact. Cal Raleigh over 1.5 total bases, 0.5 U. Raleigh's season-long exit vel. Top barrel rates make TB overs very attractive in hitter-friendly counts. Julio Rodriguez over 0.5 hits, 0.6 U, high probability top order hit over with low juice. Shohei Ohtani home run, 0.25 U, and Freddie Freeman total bases over, 0.4 U, as targeted power plays if the pitcher leaves a mistake elevated. Tiny flyers only on hours. They're variants, not repeatable edges. The statistical logic. Pair a K over with a TB over on the opponent's lineup because starter dominance reduces runs but concentrates quality counts for top hitters when they do connect. Parlay SGP architecture that respects correlation and reduces random variance. Conservative 2-leg, 0.9 U, first 5 under plus Kirby over Ks, same underlying event. Starter dominance balanced 3-leg, 0.5 U, Mariners ML plus first 5 under plus Raleigh TB over, outcome plus tempo plus top order TB, higher variance 4-leg tiny unit, 0.15 U, Mariners ML plus Kirby over Ks plus Julio over hit plus Ohtani hour, only tiny stake because of the hour leg. Rule. Never more than one true longshot per SGP and prefer legs driven by the same core event. Starter holds right pointing arrow low total right pointing arrow hitters in good counts. Live in-game pivot rules that actually save your bankroll. 1. If Kirby's K line shortens sharply pre-lock, greater than 0.5 upsize correlated Mariners TB, hit plays rather than the ML because sharps are signaling high whiff expectation. 2. If Kershaw's first inning strike share is less than 55% or pitch count spikes early, trim Kershaw-related under bets and hedge ML into first 5 under. 3. If bullpen warm-ups reveal a high-leverage Dodger reliever active that's not on paper, e.g., sudden Roki Sasaki usage, reweight toward Dodgers ML and trim Mariners TB legs because reliever talent can neutralize late scoring. 4. If first 2 innings are quiet, 0-0 or 1-0. With low base runner rates, consider adding a scaled under full game ticket and sell down volatile HR legs. First 2 innings are your best real-time edge indicator. Final prioritized plays and unit totals. Do pre-lock confirmations for pitch counts. scratches, and cross-book line checks top single. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.5 U conditional side. Mariners ML 0.75 U, if Kirby greater than 5 IP and pitch count healthy. Props. Kirby over 7.5 kiloseconds 0.65 U. Cal Raleigh over 1.5 terabytes 0.5 U. Julio Rodriguez over 0.5 hits 0.6 U. Freddie Freeman total bases over 0.4 U. Ohtani hour 0.25 U. Flyer, and a small hedge Kershaw under 7.5 kiloseconds 0.4 U. if his K line looks too friendly. Parlay focus. Conservative 2-leg first 5 under plus Kirby over Ks 0.9 U, and balanced 3-leg Mariners ML plus first 5 under plus Raleigh TB over 0.5 U. Lock props early if the book posts generous lines. Monitor pregame K line movement and bullpen availability up to first pitch, and be ready to flip ML exposure to a first 5 hedge if either starter shows early trouble, because disciplined in-game adjustments are how you turn these statistically driven reads into long-term profit. According to the official Padres probable pitchers page, Zach Gallen 13-14, 4.70 ERA is lined up for Arizona. The Padres starter is listed as TBD in that same source. Meanwhile, the Diamondbacks bullpen has been a liability, with a 2025 bullpen ERA of approximately 4.81 and WHIP approximately 1.396. The Padres bullpen, by contrast, is one of their strongest assets. ERA approximately 3.08, WHIP approximately 1.148. With Gallen confirmed on the mound for Arizona, the projection logic and bet tree get sharper. Gallen comes in as a strikeout-oriented arm with swing and miss upside, but his elevated ERA and frontage metrics suggest that when hitters square him up, damage tends to happen. That means his over K line is going to draw sharp interest, and correlated Padres extra base total base props should be baked into your SGPs. The unknown Padres starter is risk, so lean carefully on full game ML until that arm proves out early. Prefer starter props, first 5 tempo plays, and hitters, overs until the matchup resolves. The bullpen contrast is key. The Padres have one of the best reliever units in the league this year, making them trusted in tight late games. Meanwhile, Arizona's pen has underperformed, which creates a latent edge for the Padres if this game remains competitive to the late innings. So the playbook: small early exposure to, if Gallen holds, MLs, but lean heavier on props, correlated plays and first 5 under to manage variance. At the hitter level, the Padres will target Gallen's mistakes. His home run and barrel rates suggest that when he leaves fastballs elevated or misses with sliders, power bats will punch through. Look for Christian Yelich, Jackson Chourio, or Manny Machado to be TB or hit overs. For Arizona, Corbin Carroll, who achieved a 30-30 season as a dynamo, his HR props are worth a look, especially when Gallen misses out of the zone. Target low juice overs on top order hits and TBs rather than pushing too hard on hours, unless lines are generous. From the markets, I expect the total to float in the 8 to 9 range, with ML lean toward the Padres once their starter is named. Sharp money likely leans Gallen over Ks, correlated hit overs, and first 5 under plays. Public money will chase ML and long shots. Watch pre-lock K line movements and total dips, those will indicate where early sharp action lies. Here's how I'd size and structure. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0 is my anchor play, 1.25 U. Padres ML conditional, 0.75 U, if starter proves early and bullpen health checks out. Gallen over Ks, 0.6 U, strong upside when line is less than or equal to 8. Top Padres over 0.5 hits, 0.5-0.6 U across 2 to 3 hitters. Manny Machado total bases over 0.4 U if line is soft. Corbin Carroll home run, 0.25 U as the Arizona longshot. Our extra base overs for D-backs sluggers versus soft bullpen arms tiny units. Parlay SGP structure. 2-leg. First 5 under plus gallon over Ks. 3-leg. Padres ML plus first 5 under plus top Padres hit over. 4-leg tiny Padres ML plus gallon over Ks plus Machado TB over plus Carroll HR. Pre-game tells to watch. If gallons K line shortens dramatically, scale correlated hit per terabyte exposure. If the Padres starter is named late and is risky, size ML smaller and lean props. Track bullpen warm-ups. Any unexpected arms for Arizona in high leverage could shift late value. Check pitch counts first 2 innings. If Gallon is inefficient early, hedge or reduce ML exposure. Final props and picks with units. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.25 U. Padres ML, 0.75 U contingent. Gallon over Ks, 0.6 U. Top Padres over 0.5 hits, 0.6 U total. Machado TB over, 0.4 U. Carroll Hour, 0.25 U. Parlay. Padres ML plus first 5 under plus top hit over, 0.5 U. Lock props early. Monitor K line and bullpen whispers, and pivot dynamically if early innings blow the expected mold. That discipline is what turns sharp edges into profit over time. Oakland's Sutter Health Park will be a chess match of platoon edges and bullpen leverage. The Royals are sending lefty Noah Cameron to the bump, an 8-7. Sub 3.00 era workhorse with a 1.09 whip and a dependable K floor, while the A's will counter with rookie righty Luis Morales, young, effective in limited innings with a 3.08 era and strong command through his first MLB looks, and the 2-axis start. Cameron's lefty control versus Morales' righty polish dictates everything from starter K plays to the tempo of first 5 tickets and where to place low-juice TB overs on top-order bats. Put bluntly, Cameron's season-wide profile, accurate with low walk rate, strong ground ball tendencies and a MID 2.90 era cohort, makes him a first 5-inning tempo suppressor. His Ks are real, but he doesn't live on boom or bust whiffs. He forces hitters to work counts, and that tends to compress early scoring. Morales, with less MLB volume but high strike efficiency and a 3.08 era in his small sample, projects as an innings eater who won't hand over free base runners often. The clean play tree from those profiles is starter K overs, first 5 under, and top order TB hit overs for hitters who punish the wrong quadrant. Bullpen texture is where the money compounds or evaporates. Kansas City's pen this season has been legitimately strong. A MID 3.60s bullpen era, whip around 1.27 and one of the better late-frame resumes in the AL. Which means if Cameron exits with a lead, the Royals have a real chance to close this out with more predictable arms. Oakland's relief core, by contrast, has been up and down and sits in the mid 4.5 era neighborhood overall. The A's have shown flashes of shutdown work since the All-Star break, but that's come with volatility and personnel churn, so sizing full game ML exposure on Oakland should be conditional and smaller unless Morales eats into the 6th with his pitch count low. Translate that to concrete analytics. Cameron's K, 9 and chase metrics push projection models into favoring first 5 unders and starter K overs that are priced tightly. If you see Cameron's full game K line posted conservatively and then shorten pre-lock, that's a sharp money indicator and a reason to buy correlated Royals top order props over 0.5 hits, TB overs on Vinny Pasquantino rather than bloating the ML. Morales. StatCast footprint shows good strike zone command and slightly lower barrel exposure, which means A's hitters who generate high exit velocities, Nick Kurtz, Brent Rooker, Shea Langeliers, become TB targets when Morales misses up in the zone. Pick TB overs over HR flyers unless the HR number is monstrously generous. TB overs capture repeatable value. Player level sizing. Vinny Pasquantino has been a run producer all year, 30-plus homer threat with 100-plus RBI upside and a .260.270 average area, making him a prime low-juice play for over 0.5 hits or a moderate TB over when he's facing RHP who nibble up in the zone. Oakland's Nick Kurtz and Brent Rooker each clear 30 homers and provide high TB ceilings. Kurtz's .290-ish average and 30-plus homer pace make him the textbook TB hit-over candidate against LHP when he gets good pitches to drive. Use small multi-hit overs, 0.5 hits, on these guys across shops. They're low variance, high frequency. Market context and the early money flow matter more than most bettors give credit for. Books will open this as a toss-up with a slight KC lean, home, road, run environment, and bullpen advantage factor in, and totals likely in the mid-sevens. Action that matters. K-line shortening for Cameron, sharp equals by starter K plus correlated TBs, Morales first inning pitch count or velo dip, red flag equals trim A's props, and any late scratches to either lineup, cuts TB/HR value fast. The public tends to overplay MLs and HR shots. The smart, repeatable approach here is correlated props and first 5 tempo plays that exploit the same underlying pitcher performance rather than hope on a single ML. Ticket architecture. Units are relative to a 1.0 U base and size to manage variance. Core low variance anchor. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.25 U, because both starters are likely to suppress early runs and this market historically overpays in starter-dominated slots. Conditional full game single. Royals ML, 0.75 U, if Cameron gets through 5 with a pitch count less than 90 and the KC pen has its usual arms available. Contrarian conditional. Athletics ML, 0.5 U, only if Morales is vintage into the 6th and Kansas City shows bullpen fatigue. Prop cluster, small units unless lines are demonstrably mispriced. Vinny Pasquantino over 0.5 hits, 0.6 U, low juice. High probability. Nick Kurtz over 0.5 hits, 0.6 U, and Nick Kurtz total bases over 1.5, 0.4 U, when lines are loose. Luis Morales under 5.5 kiloseconds, 0.25 U, as a contrarian riff if books overvalue his K floor. Noah Cameron over 5.5 kiloseconds, 0.6 U, if line sits as less than or equal to 6.5. Cameron's control and GB tendencies still allow a decent K floor versus younger, aggressive A's bats. Tiny long shots. A's hour, 0.25 U, only if the price is greater than plus 220. Correlation note. Pair starter K overs with first 5 under to tie the same underlying event. Starter dominance compresses runs while creating K volume. SGP, parlay ideas with correlation logic, keep volatile legs to 1 per ticket, conservative 2 leg, 0.8 U, first 5 under plus Cameron over Ks. Balanced 3 leg, 0.5 U, Royals ML plus first 5 under plus Pasquantino over 0.5 hits. Higher variance 4 leg tiny unit, 0.15 U, Royals ML plus Cameron over Ks plus Kurtz TB over plus A's hour flyer. The underlying math. Correlated legs driven by the same starter performance reduce independent variance and improve the probability mass of the ticket compared to stacking independent longshots. Limit SGP exposure to as less than or equal to 20% of your total stake. Live in-game pivots and hedge rules you must follow. If Cameron's K line shortens sharply pre-lock, upsize Cameron over and correlated Royals TB hit plays. That's the sharp signal. If Morales shows elevated first inning pitch counts or a first inning zone below approximately 52% strikes, trim any Morales tied props and flip ML exposure into a first 5 hedge. If either bullpen reports a key arm unavailable, reduce full game ML units by half and pivot to prop only structures. If the first 2 innings are quiet, no base runners, low exit velocities, consider scaling into an under full game. Ticket and selling down the HR flyers. The first 2 innings are your best real-time indicator of whether the pregame model holds. Final prioritized plays. Do your last-minute checks on lineups, pitch counts and cross-book K lines. Top single. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.25U, side single. Royals ML, 0.75U, conditional on Cameron to 5+ innings and bullpen health confirmation. Props. Noah Cameron over 5.5 kiloseconds, 0.6U, if is less than or equal to 6.5 line. Vinny Pasquantino over 0.5 hits, 0.6U. Nick Kurtz over 0.5 hits, 0.6U. Nick Kurtz total bases over 1.5, 0.4U, when generous. Luis Morales under 5.5 kiloseconds, 0.25U, as contrarian. Parlay focus. Conservative 2-leg first 5 under plus Cameron over K's, 0.8U, and balanced 3-leg Royals ML plus first 5 under plus Pasquantino over, 0.5U. Lock props early if the juice is fair. Monitor pre-lock K line moves and bullpen availability up to first pitch, and treat the first 2 innings as the real market. Disciplined hedging there is how you turn a statistical edge into compounding profits. This one at Oracle Park shapes up as a clear numbers game. The Rockies hand the ball to German Marquez, and the Giants counter with Trevor McDonald, and that confirmed pairing forces you to construct tickets around Marquez's elevated run variance, McDonald's tiny sample effectiveness, bullpen texture, and targeted prop leverage rather than blind run line slaps. Marquez arrives with the ugly surface line. A 3-15 record and an ERA north of 6 with a whip around 1.70 and peripheral indicators that show elevated hard contact and home run susceptibility. When he's on he can miss bats, but he's been busted up frequently this season so your exposure should be prop-centric. Starter Ks if the SWSTR lines are generous or short-dated first 5 bets rather than big full-game lean. Trevor McDonald is a small sample rookie, prospect with a 3.38 ERA over limited innings who profiles more as a command sequence arm. Trust the early inning tempo from him but size full game tickets only after a through the 5th check. The bullpen axis is the cleanest late inning edge. San Francisco's relief corps has been materially better this year. Low ERA, lower whip and fewer blown saves. While Colorado's pen ranks near the bottom of the league with a very high bullpen ERA and a ton of blown saves. Practically that means if Marquez leaves early or gets knocked around, the Rockies are much more likely to bleed late runs. Conversely, if McDonald can navigate into the 6th with a lead, the Giants' bullpen can usually shut the door. Because of that divergence, the safest market to attack is first 5 tempo and starter props, and only scale ML run line after starter durability checks and bullpen availability confirmations. Analytics and matchup micro edges point you to low juice, high frequency plays. Marquez's high barrel and hard hit rates mean his inning splits spike when hitters get into hitters counts. Teams with patient lineups or power to all fields can exploit him for TB overs and long ball shots when the pitch is elevated. McDonald's small sample suggests lower HR allowed and tighter control, so top-order Giants hitters with high contact rates and OBP, the kinds that turn starter inefficiency into manufactured runs, are the best targets for over 0.5 hit plays. Use StatCast batted ball and barrel splits versus handedness to pick TB overs. Books sometimes underprice total bases lines against pitchers who have temporarily been lucky on sequencing. Player props to prioritize given the numbers. On the Rockies' side, Hunter Goodman has been Colorado's lone consistent power threat and is a legitimate long ball candidate against a veteran who leaves the pitch up. Treat Goodman hours as small, high variance flyers while leaning heavier into his over. 0.5 hits or TB overs when lines are reasonable. For the Giants, target their top-order contact, extra base guys for reliable 0.5 hit overs and TB plays. These low-juice overs compound profitably across slates. On starters, Marquez over Ks can be playable if books underprice his whiff potential, small unit, but beware his damage potential. McDonald over Ks is lower variance if the line is conservative, since his command profile can produce steady strike numbers in short stints. Always size starter props relative to expected innings. A 6+ K line for a 5-inning projection is different EV than for a 7+ inning projection. Market structure and sharp tells to watch. Odds makers will likely open San Francisco as the safer pick and the total around the mid-7s to 8. If the total dips pre-lock, that's often sharp money signaling belief in a low-scoring game, buy unders and correlated starter Ks. If Marquez's or HR prop inflates late, books are smelling contact and you should pivot into Giants TB RBI legs. The clearest sharp signal is K-line movement. If Marquez's K-line shortens, sharps may be betting his nights of missing bats. That's a cue to buy correlated TB overs and first 5 pivots rather than bloating ML. Cross-book checks on K-lines and totals, 2 or 3 shops, give you the actionable sizing differences that separate gamblers from grinders. Concrete ticket construction and unit sizing, 1U base, adjust for bankroll primary low variance anchor. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.25U, because this is a starter tempo slate and early innings should be compressed. Secondary conditional play. Giants ML, 0.75U, but only if McDonald clears 5 with a healthy pitch count and the Rockies' pen shows late inning weakness, otherwise avoid heavy ML size. Props cluster, small units, Hunter Goodman home run, 0.25U, as a flyer. Goodman over 0.5 hits, 0.5U, Marquez over 5.5 kiloseconds, 0.5U, if line is less than or equal to 6. Top Giants over 0.5 hits, aggregate 0.8U across 2 to 3 hitters, and McDonald over Ks, 0.4U, if line is soft. Parlay SGP builds that respect correlation. Conservative 2-leg. First 5 under plus Marquez over Ks, 0.9U, balanced 3-leg. Giants ML plus first 5 under plus top Giants hit over, 0.5U, high variance 4-leg tiny ticket. Giants ML plus Marquez over Ks plus Goodman hour plus top Giants TB over, 0.15U, only tiny units when including a HR leg. Live game pivot rules you must follow. If Marquez is yanked before 4.0 innings or his first inning zone is under approximately 50% strikes, immediately flip ML exposure into first 5 hedges and trim any late inning TB legs tied to Rockies scoring. If McDonald's first inning velo command is off, early pitch count spike, reduce Giants ML and move into small TB overs and first 5 covers. If K lines move sharply pre-lock, as greater than or equal to 0.5, treat that as sharp information and scale correlated props instead of loading a single ML. Final short list of prioritized plays to consider after lock checks. First 5 under 3.5 minus 4.0, 1.25U, Giants ML conditional, 0.75U, Hunter Goodman over 0.5 hits, 0.5U, Marquez over 5.5 kiloseconds, 0.5U, if priced competitively, and a conservative SGP first 5 under plus Marquez over Ks for your parlay core. Lock pristine prop lines early, watch bullpen availability and first 2 innings closely, and let disciplined hedging protect your edge. If you're cashing tickets with these breakdowns, make sure you smash that like button, drop your favorite pick of the day down in the comments so we can ride it together, and hit that subscribe button with the notification bell so you don't miss any of my daily MLB betting breakdowns. Let's keep stacking winners and building the bankroll. See you on the next one.